people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
In regards to the fight, do you believe that Savannah will bring that power up from middleweight? Do you believe that she was a big puncher at middleweight?
I mean, Savannah, she can fight. She's strong, big, strong girl. This isn't our first time. We fought over 10 years ago when I came to London at a test event. You know, she got the decision, but I don't feel it was the right decision. And, you know, June 17th, I have an opportunity to redeem myself, and she'll have an opportunity to prove herself if she can stay at a world-class level. But if she thinks it's going to be a walkover over me to get to Clarissa or wherever else she thinks is she's going to go, she's going to have a very long night.
Have to agree with that. This is not going to be an easy fight for Savannah Marshall. It isn't. She's going to have a very aggressive and strong, durable, volume puncher right in front of her that's looking to close the distance and smother with punches, smother with activity. It's up to Savannah Marshall to create space, enough space to get good leverage on her shots and drive them. She can't do what she did in the Shields fight. In the Shields fight, most of the fight was fought mid-range to inside, which does favor the smaller fighter. It doesn't give Savannah enough room, enough leverage to add power to her punches. Because Savannah is a taller and longer fighter than Franchon Crews, she needs a little bit more room to work. Franchon, it's the opposite. She's at her best mid-range to inside, getting off those big hooks. Franchon is smaller, so she's got a lower center of gravity. She'll be at her best when she's close to Savannah. She doesn't need as much room, as much real estate as Savannah does to drive her punches because she's smaller. Thus, it's up to Savannah to create space and manage the distance, whereas for Franchon, it's the opposite. She's got to close it. Doesn't behoove her to try to fight this fight from the outside, Franchon being the smaller fighter. Savannah's got the longer arms. If you stay on the outside, she can pick you off from a safe distance. Thus, Franchon has to stay in character. She has to be aggressive, barreling forward, bobbing and weaving and bringing over big hooks. And setting a feverish pace. I will say that Franchon is more the action fighter than Savannah Marshall is. In many ways, they're both action fighters that fight in action-packed fights, but Franchon sets a more feverish pace for a match than Savannah Marshall does. In this fight, Savannah's more the boxer, and she has to do her best to try and keep this a boxing match, not a firefight. I reiterate, she can't do what she did in the Shields fight, selling out mid-range to inside and spending most of the fight there getting into exchanges. That favors the smaller fighter. As tall as Savannah is, and as long as she is mid-range to inside, she won't generate optimal power, not at that range. Gotta create space. And it'll take a conscious effort to not just create space, but maintain it, because Franchon Crews is a pressure fighter. This is a fighter that's gonna spend the majority of the round trying to get close to you and stay on top of you. Punch for punch, I think Savannah Marshall is a bigger puncher than Franchon Crews, but not a more prolific puncher, not a busier puncher. Franchon throws punches in bunches throughout the course of a round, whereas Savannah, she's more methodical. She's the bigger puncher of the two. If she gives herself enough room, enough real estate, she is arguably the most devastating puncher anywhere at or around these weights. She had three common opponents, Franchon Crews and Savannah Marshall. Clarissa Shields among them. Clarissa beat them both. So, their quality of competition, it's not dissimilar. They're competing at the same level. I'd give Savannah Marshall the edge in height, the edge in reach, the edge in power. Mid-range to outside is her sweet spot, whereas mid-range to inside, that's Franchon's, where she wants to be defensively. I think Savannah is a little better than Franchon Crews. Franchon Crews' defense is her offense. She comes at her opponents with so much volume and so much aggression, they don't really get a chance to get their punches off. Her offense is her defense, whereas Savannah is a little bit more streamlined. And she's a switch hitter, lest we forget. She can fight orthodox, she can fight southpaw, she can fight on the go. She can do quite a bit. She's more malleable, more stylized, managing the distance, fighting on the balls of her feet, moving her head, moving her torso, rolling and countering. What you get from Savannah Marshall is more streamlined than what you get from Franchon Crews.
This fight is going to be determined by inches.
This fight is going to be determined by distance. It's either Franchon Crews is going to smother Savannah Marshall, overwhelm her with activity to where she's flustered and she can't really get off her shots, or
Franchon's best attribute is going to work against her. In this fight, it might. Standing in front of a big puncher like Savannah Marshall.
the only caveat for Savannah is that she needs a little bit more room to work than Franchon Crews does, but she is a devastating puncher, a monster puncher, and standing in front of her too much for too long.
You're going to get hit.
Head punches, body punches.
You're going to get hit.
Slight edge to Savannah. Slight edge to Savannah in a fight that might look a lot like the Shields fight, with the difference being that Clarissa Shields is more defensively responsible than Franchon.
Franchon can get caught between the punches, between the shots, because her looping hooks are wide.
Wide enough to be countered, wide enough for Savannah Marshall to get a counter hook in there or a counter uppercut.
Slight edge to Marshall.
Don't get it in your head that because Clarissa Shields beat Savannah Marshall that everybody's gonna beat Savannah Marshall. I don't think so.
Look for this on the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith, too.
That's coming up. In men's super lightweight news, an ongoing situation, Liam Paro. WBO seek new opponent for title eliminator Barboza to no longer proceed with the bout. Both boys were ordered to face each other, and the fight went to a purse bid. Matchroom won the bid.
Liam Paro is already in search of a new opponent. BoxingScene.com has confirmed that unbeaten junior welterweight contender Arnold Barboza will no longer move forward with the ordered WBO junior welterweight title eliminator versus Paro.
The development comes one day after Matchroom Boxing secured the rights to the final elimination bout through a purse bid hearing held Thursday at WBO headquarters in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Matchroom bid $303,000,
which was to be split 60-40 in favor of Australia's Paro since the fight was due to take place in the U.S.
Barboza hails from the greater Los Angeles area and thus would have earned 40% per the terms of the purse bid.
Barboza fights under the Top Rank banner on ESPN. Liam Paro fights on the DAZN platform by way of Matchroom.
The development forced the sanctioning body to move on to the next highest available ranked contender. A 48-hour notice has been issued to former unified titleist Jose Ramirez to confirm whether he is willing to enter a negotiation period for the fight. On Friday, April 28, 2023, the WBO confirmed receipt of email correspondence by Mr. Jeremy Kogel on behalf of Top Rank advising that Mr. Rick Merrigan on behalf of Arnold Barboza does not wish to proceed with the ordered bout Barboza versus Paro on the financial terms afforded by Matchroom Sport.
Rick Merrigan handles the careers of both Arnold Barboza and Jose Ramirez, both of which fight under the Top Rank banner.
There's a lot going on at 140 pounds right now. It's a much more political division than it used to be. These days, every major promotional outfit has a stake at super lightweight.
Everybody's got a prize stallion.
Rick Merrigan made the decision to withdraw his fighter from this final eliminator, likely because he didn't like the money, and he didn't want his guy going over there to Matchroom.
Not for that money, not for that split.
Rick Merrigan, on behalf of Arnold Barboza, does not wish to proceed with the ordered bout on the financial terms afforded by Matchroom's winning bid, held on Thursday, April 27th, 2023. WBO Championships Committee Chairman Luis Batista Salas stated to all involved parties in a letter obtained by BoxingScene.com, consequentially, Top Rank indicated that the referenced communication served as formal notice that Barboza will not participate in the bout. The next man in line is Jose Ramirez,
the former champion who's worth a little bit more money, at least a little more than Arnold Barboza.
I wonder if Rick Merrigan's plan isn't to get Jose Ramirez in the ring with Liam Paro on the premise that Top Rank might be willing to pay more for Ramirez versus Paro instead of Barboza versus Paro.
You don't want to have to break the bank for an Arnold Barboza fight, but for a Jose Ramirez fight,
Top Rank might bid more generously. Considering the foregoing and having reviewed the WBO junior welterweight ratings, the next available contender is Mr. Jose Carlos Ramirez. Therefore, Mr. Ramirez is hereby granted 48 hours upon issuance of this notice to confirm in writing to the WBO whether he is interested, available, ready, willing, and able to fight Liam Paro in the junior welterweight elimination championship contest. Failure to comply with this condition will result in the committee ruling that Mr. Ramirez Ramirez is uninterested and or unavailable to participate against Paro ipso facto, and with the committee proceeding and selecting the next available contender in the junior welterweight division. While a Paro versus Ramirez bout would be an attractive eliminator, there remains extreme doubt of such a fight moving forward.
Jose Ramirez has more of a profile than Arnold Barboza does. He's worth more money.
And I wonder if it isn't Rick's plan to use Jose Ramirez instead of Arnold Barboza for this eliminator on the premise that maybe Top Rank will bid more money for Ramirez versus Paro than Barboza versus Paro. Maybe that's it? Maybe it isn't.
I don't know.
But if neither of his two prize stallions at 140 pounds square off against Liam Paro,
they're going to move on to unbeaten Shohan Ergashev.
Shohan Ergashev is going through his own difficulties by way of the IBF. He's been unable to secure an opponent for an IBF final eliminator. The winner of the eventually decided eliminator will become the mandatory challenger to the WBO 140-pound crown held by Scotland's Josh Taylor, who next defends versus former unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez. So as you can imagine,
this is a fight of some significance.
A day or so ago, Teofimo Lopez was quoted as saying that he's leaving ESPN, that this will be the final fight under his existing top-ranked contract. So what if he wins? And what if he becomes WBO champion? What's stopping him from going over there to Matchroom, taking that brown belt?
What's stopping him?
You know what I heard?
What?
I heard that earlier this week Regis Prograis had a meeting with Top Rank, but I also heard that he had a meeting with Matchroom.
I heard about that later on in the week.
Moreover, I heard that he signed to Matchroom, and they're set to announce it very soon. That's just what I was told.
It's just what I heard.
So think about that. If the rumor checks out, and Regis really did sign to Matchroom, and Teofimo Lopez, if he means business, and he means to leave Top Rank, leave ESPN,
what if he goes to Matchroom?
well, that would give them 2 of the 4 belts, 2 of the 4 champions at this weight, depending on how the cookie crumbles. If the rumors check out about Regis, and if Teofimo beats Josh Taylor.
Like I said, things are shaking, rattling, and rolling at 140 pounds.
And the relevance of all of that to this conversation is that Liam Paro aspires to become the mandatory challenger to the WBO title, to whoever's holding it, whether it's Josh or Teofimo.
I feel like all of this throws a serious monkey wrench in Top Rank's plans for both Arnold Barboza and Jose Ramirez, because up until recently, you figured that at least one of those 2 guys is going to fight for the brown belt. One of those 2 guys is going to fight the winner of Taylor versus Lopez.
It seemed like it would remain an in-house affair for some time, and this latest development involving Liam Paro, well, it really throws a monkey wrench in all of that. So now I'm not so sure what's going to happen.
It's looking like neither Arnold Barboza or Jose Ramirez are going to get to fight for the brown belt. That's unexpected.
And finally, just in keeping with the theme of men's super lightweight news, Ryan Garcia's father. Ryan would only do a Davis rematch at 140, and if he's allowed to rehydrate to a normal weight.
Gervonta Davis's fans have been working hard to downplay the rehydration clause's significance to the match.
We're gonna come back at 140, Henry Garcia told Little Giant Boxer. We're not gonna have conditions this time, just the way it should be. You know what? I have to thank the Davis team. Congrats to the Davis team. I'm humble. It is what it is. But we're gonna come back. The only way Ryan would do something like that, have a rematch with Davis, is if Ryan moved up to 140 and rehydrated to, you know, a normal weight. Garcia continued. That's the only way, but right now, we did what we could. He gave the whole world a great fight. They loved it, but we're gonna move on, and we're just gonna prevail.
We'll see.
And as stated, the Davis faction of fans have been working hard to downplay the significance of the rehydration clause. When a fighter is not allowed to rehydrate properly, it directly affects their ability to take a punch. They're not as durable.
One of several factors working against Ryan Garcia in this fight, though not the only one.
And perhaps not even the most significant. Had he not taken those stipulations, this fight would not have occurred, the elder Garcia said. He did tell me personally on a side note, Dad, I did feel it as soon as I got in the ring. My legs were a little gone, but I wanted this fight because he's always dreamed about it, and it happened.
Gervonta Davis's fans would have you believe that the rehydration clause isn't a significant factor, but if it's insignificant, then why was the fight contingent upon it?
Whereas unless he accepts it, this fight don't happen. Think about how much money they would have left on the table had Ryan decided he's not going to adhere to these weight stipulations.
He's not going to agree to that.
Think about how much money the Gervonta Davis team would have missed out on. And think about how they made this fight contingent upon Ryan accepting those weight stipulations.
Clearly they mattered.
You know, I think our plans we have for Ryan Garcia are great plans that will get him back to the top, and you know, Ryan Garcia will continue to get better, to you know, learn from mistakes, but that's what boxing is all about.
That's what Oscar De La Hoya had to say about it post-fight, but Ryan Garcia post-fight has been singing a very different tune. He says, I haven't talked to anyone regarding how I'm going to move forward. I'm taking time to think about a lot of things. I wanted to make that very clear.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the Gervonta Davis side of things post-fight. What about the Ryan Garcia side of things?
Ryan Garcia didn't lose this fight simply because of a rehydration clause. He also lacked the temperance, the poise, and the patience to stay behind his jab, use his height, use his length, and set Gervonta Davis up. It was Ryan who decided to go for it in the second round, and that's what got him dropped.
Eventually, that's what got him stopped. He gave up his height, he gave up his reach, his natural advantages over Gervonta because of a lack of patience,
Lack of experience, a warrior's poise. That's why I didn't trust him going into this thing, and that's why I picked Gervonta Davis by way of knockout. Now
that that's over, you see what the fight did at the box office. You see what it did at the gate. There are people out there who want to pretend that Ryan didn't add all that value to the fight, even though Gervonta Davis had never seen numbers like that before. And he'd already been on pay-per-view 5 times.
I expect that Ryan Garcia, behind the commercial success of this fight, will in effect become the centerpiece of Golden Boy Promotions' efforts, and
if he isn't already, we see that this kid is worth a lot of money.
And if he's serious about improving his ring craft, and he's serious about coming back bigger and better at 140 pounds,
that could be very beneficial for Golden Boy Promotions. It could be very beneficial for the DAZN platform, because let's not beat around the bush. The only reason this fight was this size is because of Ryan, not Gervonta. And I could definitely see them running it back. I could definitely see a second Gervonta Davis fight, because there will be interest on both sides. Ryan's going to want to avenge the loss, and the Gervonta Davis people, they're going to want to make money.
The most money for the least risks. In their eyes, it's what Ryan Garcia was. A whale of a fight that doesn't put Gervonta Davis in harm's way.
What is it that Ryan needs to improve upon?
Distance control. Ryan Garcia has very generous physical dimensions for a lightweight and a super lightweight. He's tall for those weights.
Distance control is what he needs. Patience. Staying behind his jab.
Feinting and disguising his power shots, disguising his punches. He's naturally fast. He's very quick, but he relies on that a little bit too much.
Even if you are fast, the man opposite the ring knows what kind of punch you want to hit him with, and they're looking for it.
Poise and patience could go a long way, along with a couple of feints. Get the guy to come to you. Make him frustrated over time until they make mistakes. You set them up.
Let them come to you.
Counterpunching tacked on with Ryan Garcia's natural speed and a sharp focus on the basics, the fundamentals.
If he's in the right headspace, he can totally rebound. He can totally come back from this. The question is he in the right headspace?
Don't rule out the possibility of a second fight at 140 pounds, because as stated, Gervonta Davis doesn't view Ryan Garcia as a threat to him, and that still is a bigger cash fight than most, if not all, other fights at or around these weights. For Gervonta, it is.
It could totally happen.